Is it really possible to find 10 extra hours a week to have meaningful connections with your family? For most people, it is. Today, we'll tell you the one thing you need to change to do that.
This is Parents Making Time, the show that helps busy parents put family first without burning out.
We're Anthony and Jennifer Kraker. We don't just give parenting tips, we help you become the parent you want to be.
So, as our kids have gotten older over the years, I've developed this deep interest in time. And I've noticed this phenomenon that the older that my kids have gotten, the older that I've gotten, the more quickly time seems to pass. And there's actually some science behind that. We're not going to get into that today, but it is a real phenomenon. The way that we perceive time speeds up the older that we get. And that kind of obsession, maybe it's not an obsession, but that kind of fascination, if you will, with time has led me to think a lot about how I spend my time, how we spend our time as a family, because it seems like there's never enough time in the day to give all of the time to everything and everyone that I want to. And so as I kind of had this realization several years ago, I knew something needed to change because time is our most precious commodity. It's the one thing that we're always running out of.
Yeah, so that leads you to think and to question, like, what mistake am I making with my time? We're going to talk about that today. And you're probably, maybe you even already know the answer, but social media. I think we already knew that. So we found a stat, right?
Yeah. So the average adult, and I think that this might be average adult in the United States, but it probably holds true throughout most of the world. The average adult spends almost 2.5 hours a day on social media. That's just on social media. That's not including other things on your phone, like checking the news,
responding to text.
Yeah, text messages, just social media. Now, lest you think that you don't spend that much time on your phone, the chances that you're not an average adult are pretty slim. Now, maybe there are some of you out there that just don't use social media. Kudos to you. More power to you. That's amazing. But for the average adult, the average person listening to this episode right now, you spend 2.5 hours on social media every day.
And if you really want to know if you're an average adult, go to your screen time and check it out yourself.
Yeah.
It's there. It will. I think other phones other than Apple have screen time situations where you can see that and take that inventory. Take the inventory and find the real truth.
Yeah. So why do we do this? Why do we waste so much dang time on social media?
I mean, boredom, I think, is number one.
Yeah.
I mean, when I'm at a doctor's office, I'm waiting. Anytime I have any period of waiting, it's so easy to pull up my social media and see what's happening.
Yeah. And we get a dopamine hit from it, right? Especially like if we post something and then somebody likes or loves our post or they respond with a comment, there's a actual physiological occurrence in our brain that makes us feel good. And so we become addicted. We want to go back to social media over and over and over again. And the apps are designed with that in mind. The tech companies know that that's what they're doing, that they're pulling people in and keeping us addicted to our phones.
Yeah, and I like to think I'm above that, right? But when we have a big event in our lives or I share some picture that I think is really good of our family or whatever, I find myself sneaking back to see what it is, to see who's liked it, to see how many people have viewed it.
Yeah. But the reality is that the time that we waste on social media can have really significant consequences because you're losing time that you could be using to do other more productive things. And there's two ways that we do that, right?
Yeah, there's two ways that we do that. So like there's the obvious way, right? When you're on social media, you're not present with your life. You're looking at other people's lives. You're sucked into the vortex of whatever's happening there. But not only that, you are taking away from time you could be doing something else, because you might think, oh, well, I'm looking at social media when I'm not with my kids, so I'm not being pulled away from my kids. Well, what would you have been doing if you weren't looking at social media? Could you have gone grocery shopping? Could you have done the laundry? Could you have made dinner? And then those tasks need to happen later.
Yeah. Or even like you mentioned, sitting in the doctor's office where all you're doing is waiting, right? There's nothing else you can be doing other than waiting to be called back to the doctor. But could you be making your grocery list during that time? Could you be responding to messages that are demanding your attention so that you don't have to do that later? Could you be doing something that is more fulfilling on a personal level, like reading a good book or something like that?
I was even thinking, could you just be sitting in silence and being okay with it?
Yeah.
Like, we are no longer okay in our society with any minute moment of boredom. And that used to not be a thing. We used to be able to sit and contemplate and clear our minds and not be so rushed. There is value in that, and we have lost it.
Yeah, for real. So the average adult then is spending approximately 17 hours a week on their devices using social media.
Yeah, that's just plain math there.
Yeah. So if you were to, even if you were to just cut that in half, that's going to be a significant savings of time. But we're encouraging you to try to carve out 10 extra hours a week for your life. And that still leaves plenty of time.
That leaves an hour a day.
To doom scroll on social media.
If you take 17 minus 10, you have 7 hours left. That is 1 hour a day on social media. It should be plenty.
Yeah. So how do you do that? I mean, easier said than done, right? If you're addicted, which most of us are to some degree, how can we actually stop using social media so much?
Well, there's things set up in your phone. There are ways to set up time limits so that you can allow yourself, and then it's going to pop up and say, you've exceeded your time limit. Don't push the button to extend your time. You just resist the urge. Maybe you're telling yourself, every time I start to scroll, and I've scrolled maybe three reels or whatever it is, put that in your brain. I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop immediately. But you can't just stop and do nothing. You need to have something in mind with what you're going to replace it with. So you realize you've scrolled 3 reels. I'm going to stop. I'm going to replace it with something more productive.
Yeah. Yeah. Thinking ahead of time of what you're going to replace the time with is key, because if you don't have a direction to go, you're just going to keep scrolling.
Yeah. And I think what you can do is say, okay, I'm going to try this for a week. I'm going to set these goals. I'm going to set these limits, and I'm going to live by them for a week. And then let's see what happens. Let's see what I gained.
So one of the things that I've done is I use an app to help me control the amount of time that I spend on social media. There are different apps out there that you can use that you give it permission to only allow you to access certain apps, like whether it's Instagram or Facebook or whatever, so many times a day and for a certain period of time each time that you use it. And I have found that to be tremendously helpful to me in reducing my screen time. The app that I use is called ClearSpace, but I think there are others out there, so that might be something to look into. There is a cost to it. I think I pay $60 a year or something like that to use ClearSpace, but I have saved so much time because it forces you out of the app, right? It says, and it'll give you a little warning. It'll say you have 1 minute left. And so I have it set up to where most of the social media stuff that I use, I can access like 3 times a day for like 5 to 10 minutes at a time. And that's it, right? And then once you reach your limit, you can't access it anymore. So,
and doesn't that app, if I don't have the app, doesn't the app, if I remember correctly, like ask you some questions before you get in, so you're more mindful when you're getting into social media?
Yeah, that's the really cool thing about ClearSpace. And I can't speak to the others that are out there, but with ClearSpace, it actually has you take a breath, like you inhale and then you exhale, and it'll give you a little quote, like a motivational type quote about how you spend your time. And then it will ask you, do you want to use one of your times to access social media right now? So it forces you not only to not use social media very much, but it forces you to think about whether you actually want to get onto the app to social media app in that specific moment. And there have been plenty of times where I've clicked on it to go to Instagram or X or Facebook, and then it asks me, do you really want to do this? and I'll realize, not really, not right now, and so I won't use it. Right?
Okay, I was going to ask you that if you had that moment of truth that
Yeah.
you've ever got out because of what it asked you.
I absolutely have. I found that to be worth every penny that I've paid for it. And just so you know, we're not affiliates with ClearSpace or anything like that, so we don't get any kind of kickback. I'm just sharing. This is something that's worked for me.
Yeah, awesome. So this reminds me of why we started our podcast in the first place. It's because life as a parent is busy, and if we let it, time will just pass on and we'll miss out on opportunities to really connect with our kids. So to help with that, we put together a free resource we are calling our 30-second micro moments of intention with your kids. It's a simple list of things that you can do in less than a minute to really connect with your kids. Now, some of the suggestions on there are going to seem very obvious, because they are. But if you do them with intention, they really will help you to connect with your children. So how do you get it? You go to parentsmakingtime.com/free resource. Put in your email and we'll send it right to you. Print it or store it on your phone, wherever it is helpful to you, because those small, consistent moments, they really do add up, and they're often what our kids remember most.
And if you enjoyed this episode and you found our ideas helpful or useful, we would be so grateful if you'd leave us a rating or review in Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts, and bonus points if you share this episode with a friend.
All right, so next week, we're going to continue to talk about Anthony's obsession with time. But unlike this week, we're not going to talk about having time for your kids. We're going to talk about the surprising reason why you don't have time for you.
Yeah, so you won't want to miss that episode. But until next time, make time to become the parent you want to be.